And that is starting now. All right. So again, welcome. Thanks for joining us. This is the VLSAC General Council meeting. We do these meetings so that we can keep all the virtual students informed about what is going on virtual campus and what events that we're helping promote, what events we're going to be holding online, and just kind of some of the things that we're trying to get started. Our virtual council is still a little new, and just making students aware that there is student representation on their behalf in the online community at HAC. So this is our meeting agenda. We're probably going to hit all of this because we don't have a whole ton to talk about. So under current business, this is the things we'd like to let students know. We'll briefly go over the ways that virtual students can save some money, and then our council communications chair and our council finance chair will give little reports just to let you know where our budgets are and how we're doing in our social media marketing goals. Tonight we have a guest speaker, Jennifer Hummel. She's the reference and instruction library here at HAC, and I know personally I've had her help with different projects in one of my online courses. She was a great resource and an asset for the project that I was working on. It was like a technical writing project, and so I'm really excited to hear from her and hope that you guys come up with some questions when she's going over her material, and then we'll have some discussion. We do not have anything to actually vote on this evening. We're doing pretty good on getting some of the things that we're working on through with different attendees coming to meetings. It's helped that we're having meetings every week now. And same thing, discussions. We just kind of have an ongoing list of discussions that we hit. Nothing has been tabled. We just might get to them. We might not tonight because we have a guest speaker. And then notes to dates to keep in mind that we do not have a general council meeting next week. We are on break, so enjoy your break. And our next general council meeting will be on March 12th. That's still Monday at 7 p.m. And then also the Virtual Learning Student Advisory Council, VLSAC, is helping with Phi Beta Lambda's Hack Tank. So we'll be doing an online webinar version hosting from the event on campus so that online students can reach the event from home and still participate in the voting for audience choice when students are going and giving their pitch with their business ideas. So that's Thursday, March 22nd, and that starts at 12 noon sharp and will promptly end at 1 p.m. Isn't that right, Professor McCartan? She tells me it's always exactly an hour.
It's 58 minutes, guys. So to the point.
All right. So then I always like to go over the ways that virtual students can save money. That way students are just getting more aware of this and it becomes more familiar across, our blended students that are also on campus and, virtual students that haven't attended our meetings before. But with the VLSAC initiated 2 different initiatives that now are have been adopted by HAC as an institution and handled a little differently now. But we started the bookstore discounts and the access code reimbursement program. So at the website that you can see on the PowerPoint slide, there are updated forms. They are going to explain what kind of items and what kind of discounts are available at the bookstore. All you have to do is show that you are a virtual student with your schedule and have your HAC ID. And then our access code reimbursement program. For each semester, this changes. I'm going to pause because it's telling me my internet is unstable, so I might be lagging. Sarah, do I sound okay? Okay. All right. So access code reimbursement program changes each semester. Different classes will meet the criteria for this program. What this is if online students have a course that needed extra materials because it's being held online, that an on-campus version of the same class and same credit hours wouldn't have needed, that this is there to help students that are taking it online afford their classes. So these 2 ways, you can, like I said, there's updated forms on the website there that you can download and turn in. There's emails on the forms where they go. So at this point, I'm going to turn the meeting over to our finance chair, Gracie, and she'll give a little idea of where our numbers are this week.
Hi, I'm Gracie. I'm the finance chair, and I'm going to start sharing my screen, if that's okay with you, Corey.
Yep, all you.
Okay, to the budget. Okay, can everybody see this correctly?
Yes.
Okay, this is our current budget. Now, I believe it was 2 meetings ago, we voted to increase the printing and copying budget by 1,500, and we voted yes, but that is still being processed. So things are still being moved around. So technically, our budget is $3,000 now, but because it's still being processed, I left it at $1,500. So currently, our operational supplies budget is at almost at $50,000, and we have spent none of it. So we still have approximately $50,000 left. In the prizes and gifts budget, we have $6,700 budgeted, and we have spent $3,000 of it approximately, leaving around $3,600 left in the budget. For printing and copying, it's currently, as I said before, $1,500, but technically it's $3,000 with the $1,500 increase still being processed, with none of that spent. Now, the increase in budget will be for pamphlets that we will print out to help boost awareness for the VLSAC, which is why there's an increase in budget. We didn't just increase it just for the sake of increasing it. And then other purchased services is at exactly $2,500, which is the budgeted amount, with $9 of that spent. So it's just simply $9 less than $2,500. For meeting expenses, internally speaking, $500 of that was budgeted, with approximately $15 of it spent, leaving $485. For special events, which will be used towards the virtual learning award ceremony, we have approximately $29,500 budgeted, and we spent $3,900 of that, leaving close to $26,000. And with all those budgets combined, we have budgeted $90,000, or rather $90,500 if you want to round it. And we've spent almost $7,000 of it, leaving a total of approximately $83,500. Now, because that's a lot of numbers and it's a lot to wrap around, for our visual cue, the main budget is this. We have spent only 8% of all of the budget, and we still have 98% of it left. For the prizes and gifts budget, we have spent 45% of it, leaving 55% left. And for the special events, we have spent 13% of it, leaving 87% of it left for the virtual learning award ceremony. And that's it, unless anyone has any questions. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, Gracie. Appreciate it.
Anytime.
Still loving the pie charts.
Yeah. Okay, I'll stop sharing my screen now unless, again, anybody has any questions or wants to view anything again. Okay, I think we're good now. Thank you.
Thanks again, Gracie. So, Sarah, I just wanted to check with you quick. Do you want me to put the power slides up, or do you want me to go through this? I know that's been kind of a crazy week for you.
Yeah, it definitely has. No, you can honestly, this is fine. You don't have to put anything up. Pretty much it's the same old stuff, just because, long story short, for everybody that does not know, that's not my Facebook friends, on Wednesday evening, I was admitted to the hospital, and I had to get my appendix removed. So I've been in recovery. This is actually my first day of actually sitting in my chair. So I've been bedridden, and I've been a pain in the butt to my grandmother, say the least. She's been having to come up and take care of me. So pretty much what I have going on is very similar to what I had said last week and the week before, because we just officially got our Facebook page. So we kind of have a lot of wiggle room to create things. So I'm slowly getting into the kick of things with a schedule for Facebook posts. Usually what I do is I do an hour before each meeting as a reminder. So what we're creating event pages for each of for the general council meetings. So each week you're going to see an event pop up if you follow our VLSAC page. So things like that, I'm trying to get into a kick of things. But then I'm also going to try to do, like this past week, I did not get a chance to post because I was in the hospital, so I totally spaced about everything.
That's okay in that scenario, seriously.
Well, it's funny. When off topic, when my grandmother, she like Thursday night, I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot to take out the trash. I'm so sorry. And here I am in a hospital bed, and I was worried about taking out the trash. But what I'm hoping to do every Thursday is Inspirational Thursday. So do an inspirational quote every Thursday on the Facebook on the Facebook page. And then I'm also thinking about everyone loves memes. You know, and it might not even be relevant to school. It might be about the crappy weather or bills or something like that, that I'm going to post every Tuesday. And then I'm going to post probably 2 other times concerning the general council meeting. And if there's any news that cannot wait for the meeting, like when we got Gracie in for finance chair, I did make a separate Facebook post for that. Cannot speak today. Oh my goodness. So if you guys have ideas, marketing is not my favorite thing, but I'm learning to love it. It's been fun. It's a good kind of thing to have under your belt. So if you guys have any ideas, just shoot them at me.
Thanks, Sarah. So the marketing thing has been new for us. We didn't have visibility like a lot of other SGAs and student groups on campus. So it's important that, if we get a lot of people to know that what we're doing and how we're helping. A lot of times the feedback we're getting at the end of each semester is, we didn't know you had access to code reimbursements or a bookstore discounts. So we're just learning where to put our voice and where to let virtual students know where we're at and what we're working on. So Sarah's been working pretty hard to branch out with our new Facebook page. So if there are Facebook groups that you're members of that you think there are virtual students in, feel free to share the page. It's facebook.com/hack VLSAC. So that takes us down to item 3. And I just wanted to leave this open if Professor McCartan wanted to, make any comments or anything, as she's kind of our guest advisor this evening. And I know it was one of the things I wanted to talk about with her being here to fill me in if I'm explaining it right. But Phi Beta Lambda's Business Club has just brought the stock market game online. So I'm hoping she'll be able to speak a little bit on that. I know I wanted to promote that this evening.
Okay. So Phi Beta Lambda, the business club, is participating in the stock in this college, but there's a college level to aspect to it's a real stock market numbers and everything. You get to invest. They give you $100,000 money to invest, and it goes on a national platform. And I wanted to see, we had talked about a business club for a virtual world, and I want to see if anybody was interested in jumping onto the stock market game, a business club on an online platform. So that's why I brought that to the VLSAC to say, hey, this might be something unique and different because it's something you can do virtually versus other activities that we do in the business world or the business club that is not virtually. So.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to definitely give a shout out for that, because I know that was, it's just new. It's something that the VLSAC has been exploring, is branching out into having virtual clubs. The business is one idea that we're kind of exploring right now. And then we also have some web students that are interested in putting together a web club that, but it's definitely uncharted territory having cross-campus clubs or virtual clubs. So we're still just figuring out how to make everything work out appropriately so that we can, continue to foster a really good online community of students for the virtual students at Hack. But that kind of brings us to the end of what I have for the meeting tonight. The next part, let me click through my slide, is I want to welcome Jennifer Hummel. She's here as our guest speaker, and I'll take this slide down then so that you can face-to-face talk with students, and I, take it from there.
Yeah, and I actually might share my screen also for a little bit, but
perfect, thanks.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. I do know a couple of you. I see some names that I am familiar with from different classes. I am a reference and instruction librarian, which means I am based on the Harrisburg campus, but I am also the virtual liaison for the entire library department. I'm also the liaison for the business department when it comes to collections and things like that, like what we have in our collection for the business department college-wide. So my main question is kind of, it goes along with what Corinne was just saying, is we have something in common. Your group is people didn't know that you existed or what you do or, any of that. And believe it or not, the library gets that too. A lot of people will see us in classes and they're like, wow, I didn't know all this stuff was here. And we're trying to get better at that with the virtual students. So I do have some things to show you if you have not seen. So let me choose. I am at home and I have different things at home. Where's the screen that I want? That one. There we go. All right, so you're able to see that. You should all be familiar with the HACC website. Whenever you go to the main HACC website, if you click on library, that takes you to the library website. So those of you that have had librarians come into your classes or visited the virtual side of the library, you've probably seen this page. Just to point out a few things that are specifically important to virtual students is that we have research by appointment, which most people think of as coming into an office or something like that, but we use Zoom all the time. I use Zoom to meet with my virtual students. If you want to make an appointment with a librarian, you just click the link just like anybody else, make an appointment, and just ask if you could have a Zoom meeting or some other virtual type of meeting. We also use Google Hangouts. We use, if your classroom instructor is using the classroom, like virtual classroom in the D2L shell, we can use that also. We are trained to do all of those things. So you are not limited. In fact, one of our goals in the library is to make sure that virtual students have access to just as much and just as easily as students who are on campuses to all of the materials that we have. So if there is something that you notice that you do not have access to, please let me know or one of the library directors, and we will take care of it, because you should have access to pretty much everything that's available on the library services side. So without boring all of you, I just want to see, and let me see, can I see chat while I am sharing my screen? No. So I can't see chat while I'm sharing my screen. So I don't know if maybe
you can. So if you see at the top where it says options, or the bottom there's a green bar, you can bring up the chat from there.
There is not in mine. Oh, I see what happened. I have dual monitors and it jumped to the other side. There it is. Okay, there's chat. All right, thanks. When I use this at work, I don't have two monitors. I'm at home right now with two monitors, and so it jumped over to the other side for me. So, and I'm perfectly fine if anybody wants to ask questions if you have any. If there's anything that you've used and you would like to have some feedback to tell us how we might do something better, I am more than happy. I'm a very laid back individual, and I like to talk about things that I can do for you. As Corinne said, I've been in multiple classes, and she's seen me in a class, and I'm the kind of person that, if you have something, just tell me, and I will work on that and let you know how it's going. So as I kind of point out a couple of things here, if anybody wants to type any questions in chat or any feedback in chat about something, just let me know. The biggest part that I think students forget that we have is our chat service. When the library is open, over on the right-hand side of the screen, there is a little box that pops out. So when we are open, you can type in here. It's a live chat. Hack librarians are staffing it, and we'll be able to answer your questions. You can even send us, if you have an assignment you're working on, you can attach that to the chat and we can look at it. If we are not open, when you go to this page, you'll put in your information and your question, and it'll redirect you to another chat service, which is 24/7, 365. So any day, anytime, you can get a hold of a librarian. Now, the ones that are using that outside service are not all hack librarians. We do staff it, but not all the time, obviously, because we like to sleep sometimes. But it's even a worldwide service. So there are librarians from all over the place that will be able to answer basic research questions. So they might not know hack-specific things, but they will be able to help you with research and citations and all of that kind of stuff. And they do, or they should, have access through that system to know what databases are available to you as a hack student, as long as you identify yourself as a hack student. They will be able to look in their files to see what is available to you through our library. Move that. As far as getting a hold of those materials, like I said, we do have a federated search in our catalog. So when you go to books and media to search for books, it will give you books and ebooks all together in the same search, and it is possible to limit that down. We are pulling out quite a few more ebooks than physical books these days. I find them very useful for different kinds of topics, but some students don't feel comfortable with them. So we would love to hear from you what materials you need and that sort of thing. We also allow instructors to put physical books and ebooks on reserve for you. So if there is a whole class that's going to need to refer to a specific book, we make sure that it is available to that class first before anybody else. So, you can help me spread the word, because I do tell your instructors that, but definitely be advocates for yourselves and let your instructors know that that is something that we will do for them, and make sure that the materials are available for all their students. And then the other thing that is usually something that is quite often used are our databases. If you're not familiar with research databases, I always tell my students when I'm teaching in class that when you're looking for information, it's like shopping. If you're looking for groceries, you're not going to go to the hardware store. So we have put together our alphabetical list of 70 databases that are available to you. But if you really want the good list, you're going to look at databases by subject. So it takes all those databases and groups them into what they're good for or what kind of store they are. So if you're looking for health information, you're going to go to the health databases. If you're looking for history, you're going to jump down the page to the group that is good for history. There are some overlaps within that information because some databases will have historical information about medical things or, you know, something like that. But for the most part, we group them according to what they are specifically good for, and let you know where a good place to start for your research would be. Additionally, another place that you can get good lists of information and databases and things like that are our LibGuides. So let me go back. So while articles and databases, that link pulls together many different kinds of scientific research and academic research articles, it doesn't always bring together other outside sources like reputable websites. It doesn't bring in some separate types of professional groups and organizations and things like that. So sometimes when we go into a classroom, or for example, as I said, I'm the liaison for business studies and the business department. So what I have done, and what many of the other disciplines have done, is we've put a guide together that collects all the different things that we think would be useful to business. It's not very intensely specific on any one thing, but it's just a curated spot so that you don't have to go to the books and media link for your books, and then the articles and databases link for your articles, and then the videos link for your videos, and all of that. We've put it all together. So when you go to this page, there's a couple different ways to get there. You could go to special topics and then search for the topic that you're looking for, the subject. So with mine, I know that mine is in the business section, which is here. Oh, well, that's interesting. It's not there. That means I did something wrong. I need to fix that. Let me write that down. Business.
Sometimes it's great that we go through things and find what we suddenly missed. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I'm always telling students, I'm like, if you find something wrong, tell me, because I am a human being and I make mistakes all the time. Well, I know the other way to find it, so it should show up in here. I do know that we have a mythology one, so we have a mythology research guide. Instead of what you might see is sometimes you'll see things that look like they're more specific to a certain class or a certain topic rather than a whole subject. So always check the special topics to see if maybe your topic is already in there somewhere. Or if you want to search for it, you can come back. And I know that mine is in here because I use it all the time. So right here is the very first one, Business Management and Marketing Research Guide. And so I have collected some information about some tips and things for how to do research and information about citation. And then we've curated the different types of things that would be good for students to have access to. All of this should be accessible to you from home. If you ever find a database or something that is not letting you get into it, that's another thing that you should let someone know in the library. You can let me know specifically. You can let pretty much any librarian know that something is wrong. Just let us know specifically which link it was that you chose so that we can make sure it's not the link and, you know, things like that. And we also have open access, which would be outside resources that librarians have looked at and the business department instructors have looked at to decide whether they're credible and reliable information. And And we also have all of our contact information. So because this is to be used by students on all campuses, I am the head person, but we do have librarians from all the campuses that are available to talk about this topic. You can call all of us. You can ask a librarian, which is the same thing as this question over here. And you can ask for appointments as well. And this is not just for the business. As I said, we have multiple subject guides. I just know that this one's here and what's on it, so I wanted to show that one to give you an example of what we do. So were there any questions or anything library related that you wish you had access to, or maybe you don't know if we have it or something like that?
Well, before you get too far away from LibGuides,
Sure.
I wanted to ask just how new or recent they are. I know I've been at Hack maybe about 3 years, and I've definitely heard of them, but my Hack experience is not my first virtual experience, and so I may not have used them, mostly because if I have, let's see, how do I want to word this? I'm the person with 50 tabs open, and so the fact that that's a one-stop shop, it just isn't my style. But for someone who's not as acclimated to using virtual resources as maybe I have just from different experiences, it sounds like LibGuides really are, like I said, a one-stop shop for if you have an assignment and it's heavily focused in an area that you can find, like, the databases or credible websites or people on campus or on Zoom that can help you with the assignment, like right in one place.
Yep. So the LibGuides have existed for a long time, and as long as I've been at Hack, which is almost 8 or 10 years now. They have not always been used exactly this way. This is a relatively new function. Many times in the past, the only time we made a LibGuide is if we were physically going into a classroom and we made the LibGuide specifically for that class. We learned that was helpful for that class, but not so helpful as we were growing our virtual students. So our virtual students also got LibGuides in their D2L shells, but they were helpful for that event. But then after you were done with that class, it became irrelevant. So we've really tried in the last year to 2 years to move towards this subject guide version of using LibGuides to try and serve more students all at once. And especially for students like you maybe that do a lot of self-research and don't need as much guided help. It's good for you to have all of those things at your fingertips so that you can open all your tabs and have all the things there where you need them.
Jen, can I share? I have a LibGuide.
Sure.
Since I have a LibGuide for my Marketing 201 course.
And we've worked together before.
Yes, absolutely. I appreciate it. You're welcome to actually share it if you want. It's really great. It has a PowerPoint, explains how to do research, everything in it, down to everything they need. And I will tell you that students' quality.
Which class was it?
My Marketing 201, Principles of Marketing. And I will tell you that the quality that I get from students that use the LibGuide in their papers are truly probably 110% better than ones that don't use the LibGuide.
And so this is an example of a class guide that's more specific to that particular class, where we have some information about the librarian that taught the class. And then looks like your assignment, article databases, and some tips on how to search those databases. But it's all focused on that particular assignment that you're working on in that class. Websites, books, and citation. So it's all the same resources, just presented in a slightly different way. And we do still do that in classes as needed, but we are starting to focus more on getting some more of those larger groups of students covered all at once, because many students are doing self-guided research and things like that. But then this type of thing is there for when you have more specific needs for a specific assignment.
I had another question. I thought maybe, and it was sort of touched on in some of Professor McCartan's LibGuide here, but I thought it might be maybe useful for virtual students, since this recording is going to go out on D2L. If you could talk a little bit about finding the right keywords when you're searching databases.
Okay. So there's all sorts of different methods. The one that I use the most is basically writing a thesis statement. A lot of assignments will ask you at the very beginning to tell me what you want to write about. That can, be a thesis statement. It can be a couple of sentences, just like you would conversationally talk to your instructor or to me and say, this is what I want to research. When you write all of those words down, then you start crossing out the extra words like is, and, the, it, all of those pieces, and you should be left with your keywords. So an example that I use in class a lot is if I was writing a paper about polar bears in the Arctic, I might say polar bears are being endangered and because of melting ice flows or something in the Arctic. So if I cross out all the extra words, I have polar bears, endangered, melting ice, Arctic. Those are all the keywords that you need to use when you're searching. So then we do the same thing when we are shopping online. We say, well, what is it that I want? I want shoes. Well, what kind of shoes? I want high heel shoes. And what color do I want them to be? And so we start writing all the different things, or we just have them in our head. But with research, it can get a little bit more complicated because you don't have a picture in your mind. There's lots of different thoughts and ideas. So I always suggest writing down your keywords so you don't forget. And once we've decided what we want, then we have to decide where to go to shop for it. There are some places that are shoe stores. We wouldn't go, again, to the grocery store to get shoes. So we need to choose our databases the same way. If we're looking for scientific information about polar bears, then we want to go to a scientific database. If we're looking at environmental information, there might be a special database for environmental types of information. So once we decide where to shop, then we use our keywords and we start limiting down the types of things that we want to know about our topic. So it's something that we all do. We just might not think about it in an academic way, or we might not focus on it in that way. A lot of times students will decide that research is completely foreign to them, but they do it all the time. They just have never thought about it in that way.
I'm an online shopper, so I'm all about when you can filter things down. So
yep, exactly.
I like to think of it that way.
That happens in our databases. So just a basic database looks like this. This is a very common thing to see, lots of boxes. We put in our keywords. As we put in our keywords, we're getting more and more specific. So if I just put polar bears in, I would get 1 million results, which I'm never going to look through all of those. But now I'm saying, but I want polar bears and I want endangered. And I also want melting ice. So if only one of these things are here, it's not going to give it to me. It's going to give it to me if all the things are in there, because I'm saying and. I really, really want all of these things. We always do full text because that gives us the whole article and not just the abstract. And you mentioned filtering. When I do my search, so I only got 10 for this search, which is actually, I could look through all of those. So what I'm going to do for this example is I'm going to do a completely ridiculous search and just search for polar bears. That's going to give us 1 billion things. Maybe not 1 billion, but 1,000. That's way too many. So instead of our really specific search of 10, which we could probably look through 10 articles to see if those were good for us, we've gotten way too many. So some of the things you were talking about, filters, just like we do when we shop. We can choose what kind of source it's coming from. So academic journals, trade publications, those are most useful for research. And the one that I really like is subject. So within these 1,000 of results, these are all the things it talks about. So this can also become a good time to get some more keywords. One of the most difficult things, I think, about using databases is learning what language it uses. Polar bears, for example, if I'm I didn't choose a very scientific database to do this example on purpose, but if I had a very scientific database, it might want the scientific name for polar bears, which is Ursus maritimus. I didn't know that. I looked it up because I use this example all the time. That is another thing about keywords, is sometimes you have to go educate yourself a little bit on the internet, wherever you need, to get some of those keywords. And then you go to the more reliable places with that information to get the documents that you'll use for your assignment. So you might want to try looking through this list to get keywords. You can also look through this list and choose the things that make sense to you. And by choosing those, you're telling it that you want more specific things from this list. So if I look through and I see, let's see what else. How about Arctic? Because that was one of my keywords. And that's a book about polar bears. I don't want that. United States. So you get the idea. We look through, we include Arctic regions. That's probably a good one. You do always want to look through the whole list, even though I'm not doing it right now because of time. But the count that it gives you here in the end is telling you how many times this is used within your results, not necessarily how important it is to you. So this one at the very end that's only used 3 times could be the 3 articles that you want. You don't need the other ones, even though they're used more, because they're not important to you. So always make sure that you look down through the whole list. And when we click update, it should get more specific. So we got pretty close to our 10 that we had at the beginning. We have 27. That's not a huge difference in the land of research. But yeah, that's the basic idea of limiting things down in the databases. And it is very similar. Yeah, it's very similar to Amazon or any of those things that you would use. Because Amazon is a database also. It's not a scholarly database, but it is a database.
Yeah, I think in the world of technology, there's a lot of like mental reframing that will come with the territory, because no one thinks of Amazon as a database. We think of them as a store,
Yeah.
despite they're actually, their online component is all that database technology. Their on the ground, component is millions probably of warehouses around the country.
Yeah.
So it's very different when you break things down into, how to think of it like that. So I appreciate that analogy that you brought.
Yeah, all a database is it takes lots of information and makes it searchable by computer and keywords.
I would just like to talk for a moment. First of all, thank you for showing us all of this, especially since I have a paper due, and I had a couple questions I was going to ask, and you literally just answered all of them.
Great.
I had no idea where to start. It's a research paper for a psychology class, so. But thank you.
We have a whole bunch of psychology databases. I think we have quite a few ebooks as well that might be depending on your topic.
Yeah, it's a broad topic. Yeah.
And you know how to get a hold of a librarian now too if you need to make an appointment.
Well, I probably will, because it's it's one of those assignments that is very broad but at the same time very specific, if that makes sense. It's one of those things.
Yep.
But
sounds like psychology for sure.
Yeah. It sometimes takes the most time trying to get your thoughts together, because once you know what you're looking for, then you know where to go to find it and all that kind of stuff. But the trying to figure out what you're actually doing is sometimes takes the longest time.
Oh, definitely.
Was this helpful to a lot of the other guests as well? I'm not sure what different programs you're studying right now or courses that you're enrolled in, but if you have, gained something out of this, let us know in the chat, or feel free to chime in with your microphones. We are coming up on just about 10 minutes before the end of the meeting, so I just wanted to give Jennifer Hummel an extra thank you. And also, is there anything in closing that you wanted to share with us this evening?
Well, I do have one more thing to keep your eyes out for. It is not finished yet, but the library is working on making video tutorials about all of the types of things that I've talked about tonight. They take quite a long time to actually produce, but we're trying to make some nice ones that will last the test of time, so we don't have showing a website that's no longer valid, or things like that. But we're trying to make a few of those and put them together in another LibGuide about how to do research, and how instructors may ask you about certain types of assignments, and what types of research are good for speeches as opposed to psychology research, and things like that. So keep your eyes out for that. We're hoping to at least have the preliminaries finished by the end of fall. It won't be complete at that point, but we'll at least have a few things to show people at that point.
That's awesome. So Jennifer Hummel, would you mind, or did you stop sharing screen?
Oh, I can. Yep.
Okay. I just want to put my slide back up here. Thanks again. And actually, interesting fact, that is, so you are our second guest speaker this semester in our council meetings. And the last one that we had was Jason Bowden, and he also gave us like a heads up, here's something new coming out. So it's kind of interesting how our recorded meetings are capturing these like, off the record, but here's something that you can look forward to. And so,
and Jason and
for everybody in attendance. Yeah.
I was just going to say Jason and
you
I
probably work with them very
together.
closely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if everyone who's in attendance tonight missed Jason Bowden, he attended the February 5th meeting. So definitely check out the recording on D2L when you get a chance.
Oh, I couldn't hear you for a moment.
Thank you for all of that information, because I think that really touches on so many different people's classes that they're taking and the assignments that they're working on as we get close into the midterms now. So
good. Oh, and I'm sorry, I missed a question. Oh, it was just a comment. You're welcome.
Actually, I have one more question, if you don't mind.
Oh,
Go for
sure.
it, Gracie.
Okay. With all of the resources that you have, I've used different databases before, and sometimes at the bottom they will list all of the different ways that you can source the information. So you can just copy and paste into, say, a Word document instead of researching like all of the information yet again in order to find the exactly how to reference everything. Is there something similar to that in the Hack database where at the bottom of, say, an ebook, it will source it for you and say like APA and MLA style? Or is that not?
Oh, you mean the citation?
Yes, that's right.
Giving credit? Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And I don't know, do you need me to share my screen, or it's actually a button?
Okay.
Most databases have a button on one side of the screen that has like save and print, and there is one usually that has cite. And most of the time, every database looks a little different, but they all have the same functionality pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
It'll either make a pop-up window come up with all the different styles,
Mm-hmm.
and you just have to find the one that you want and copy and paste, or it may give you like a drop-down menu to choose the style that you want, MLA, APA, whatever, and then it'll produce it for you. Now, I would caution you that it is a computer and it does make mistakes.
Okay.
So always check the citations against the actual article to make sure that, for one, the information matches. Because I have had times when I've talked to classes and showed them the citation button and the title didn't match. It was pulling the information from some other article by accident. But in that case, it's not a huge problem, because in that article, in the detailed abstract, it has all of the pieces that you need to make your own citation. It has the author and the title and all the different pieces. You just have to go to the library website, click on the link that says citing sources, and go to the guide that we have there that will show you how to cite that and what pieces to put in what order and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Or you can contact a librarian and we can help you do that as well. So that's something we do all the time.
Okay. Yes, thank you so much. No matter how many research papers I write, I always have trouble citing my sources no matter what.
Oh, and I have to look them up also, because I help students with 3 or 4 different styles and I can't ever keep straight in my head which one does what. So we have to look it up too.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better. I'm thinking
it's a complicated thing.
Yeah,
but it's not something to be afraid of. So
okay, thank you. Yeah, I've been writing research papers for years, and no matter what I always have to Google MLA style for this, and this, and I see I use Google, so it says how many times I viewed that link, and I think I've viewed certain like ways to cite things at least 10 times in the past couple months. So.
Well, and I would also say you can probably get perfectly fine information on Google. I would use the library link, because that information does change periodically, and so I would hate for you to get out of date information from a website. We are definitely going to have the most up to date information, because we check that and we get notifications from the people that created citation, and they tell us when it's being updated. So
okay, thank goodness.
Yep.
Thank you.
That was definitely a good question, Gracie. Because everybody has to remember to get all of their papers formatted the right way, and their resources cited properly. It could really affect their grade if they don't. So I'm glad that you asked that. But that pretty much brings us to the end of the meeting tonight, guys. I do want to try and end on time. So I'm just going to put this last slide up here for everyone to see. Just a conclusion slide. It's taking its time loading. Oh, there it is. So next week, we do not have a meeting on Monday. It is break, so enjoy it. Hopefully, we'll see some good weather like we have in the last couple days, minus all this rain. And then our next meeting will be on March 12th. We'll have it at 7 p.m. You can use the exact same link that you used this evening to get into our same Zoom webinar. And also, just these updates at the bottom, make sure to check your Hawk Mail this week. There's been a lot of things going out from virtual learning that we want to make sure that you're in the know about. So every spring we have, well, this is our third year doing it. So our third annual virtual learning awards ceremony is this spring, and so work hard, qualify for some of the awards that are going on, and attend with us in May. And right now you can nominate your peers in a student nomination, as well as your faculty, a star faculty member. There are surveys that went out to your Hawk Mail this week, and the deadline is going to be sometime quickly coming up in March. So if you've met students in your virtual classes that really offered help to you, or seemed like they were knowledgeable enough about the course to, you were able to seek guidance from them, or just that, someone that you would want to nominate, make sure to fill out this student-to-student nomination survey. And then also nominate your favorite faculty member in the second survey that's in your inbox. And also, keep an eye out at the end of March. On March 22nd at 12 p.m. we'll be having Hack Tank. We'll be promoting the event online and holding a webinar. So virtual students can chime into our webinar of Hack Tank, watch students participate in the event, and pitch their business ideas in front of a live audience and in front of judges. And then also there will be some live voting that students can participate in via Zoom when we hold this online. So we're very excited about that. That's the first time we've really coupled with the business club to do that. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And if this was really helpful to you, we are definitely looking for other opportunities to bring great topics to you in our meetings. So just like what we learned about today from Jennifer Hummel, if there are certain topics that you think would be beneficial for virtual learning students to know, you can let us know. It would be good if you emailed us at vlsac@hack.edu with some suggestions of topics that we can bring to our meetings to keep everyone virtually informed. So with that, I'm going to call meeting adjournment, and just let everyone know, if you are a virtual student in attendance tonight, when you logged in with your emails will just get sent to us. We're going to be sending you something this week so that you can claim a prize for attending our event tonight. So thanks very much for coming out. And we'll see you all again sometime soon in Zoom.
Thank you. Good night.